Another way to repeat parts, especially if you know you're going to be running a production of parts, is not by necessarily recentering zero, but doing all of your work in SheetCam. SheetCam is a nesting tool. So in this case, you'll see I have that one part here. There's a couple ways I can duplicate that. Now this is simulating a 4x8 sheet. Now right now I'm not using a 4x8, it's slightly smaller, and I would adjust my parameters in here. If I wanted to change the size of my sheet, I would go into options, job options, and bring this down from 96 back to let's say 48 inches, so a 4x4 sheet of material, giving us a little bit more of a realistic view of this piece. Now this isn't 4x4, I want to say it's actually just under 4x4, probably closer to 40x48 instead. Still 4 feet across, but 40 inches long. And what I would do in SheetCam is I would go up over to my nesting tool. This is right here. I right click on the part and I duplicate. And I can go ahead and duplicate that part right next to it and do multiples here. So duplicate that again. And then I'll process this as a G-code. So I'll go File, Run Post Processor here, and then import it into Mach 3. And then center it out on my table, or zero it out to this bottom left-hand corner here, and have it run the cut. Now, because I had already previously cut on this table, SheetCam and Mach 3 won't know that. Our table doesn't have a detection software that lets you know where you cut previously. In this case, you would need to just center your zero and know the approximate distance for your piece here, from here to here, if you know your material, or it'll actually allow you to see up here. In this case, I'd be able to see going left. It'll actually let me travel virtually and physically to see if I have enough material for this, what looks like a 10-inch, approximately 10-inch part there. And by having that run with a machine, I can see, okay, so I did have the 10 inches there. I'll go ahead and run that piece in that particular slot. But let's go back to SheetCam here before we get ahead of ourselves. And there's one other way to duplicate parts here without having to go through the process of actually right-clicking and selecting duplicate. And that is, oh, and I just did that again. Delete part and delete part. Nope, I want this one. Delete part. Okay, one way to do that is with arraying parts. By arraying parts, now I know the size of my area. Let's say I did have a full 4x8 that I wanted to fill. So I know it's going to be 48 inches for my array area, or the area that I'm trying to array all my parts in, by 48 inches as well. It'll scale back to size based on what it sees in the array. So obviously a certain number of rows, let's say if this is 10 inches, it wouldn't be able to go 5 of these across. It'll only be able to go 4 of them across. And you'll have a little bit left over here because the 10 inches just doesn't quite reach all the way across. And we also include our part spacing. Part spacing is just the space between each of the individual parts in this nest. And I have that set to 1/4 inch, and I hit OK, and there we go. We have our parts arrayed. And in this case, we hit File, Run Post Processor, save that file, and then import it into Mach 3 by hitting Load G-code and loading that G-code that we had made in SheetCam that has those arrayed parts. But if you want to do multiples of parts, make sure you bring it into SheetCam first, then run the post processor, then bring it into Mach 3, and then run it from there.